Imagine working endless hours, day to day, sun up to sundown, to provide barely enough for your family. And in the blink of the eye, have that completely wiped away. No home, no car, no job, no nothing. That stark reality happened to over 1,000 people on one island alone in Bahamas, on the Grand Bahama Island, plus thousands other on numerous other islands. Hurricane Dorian came through as a Category 5 storm and sat over the island for 2 days, not moving, just sitting there, causing all-out panic, terror. No one could go anywhere. Roads were flooded. People were trapped. Damage is still being categorized down there. Most of the help cannot actually reach the island yet because a lot of the infrastructure, the airports, the roads, and ways into the island are simply gone, so they can't get to the actual people. I'm sure everyone's seen the pictures, heard about it, the damage. Well, I'm going to look at a different side of the story, the fisheries. Those people down there rely on fish for everyday life, commercial fishing, recreational fishing, and then just food for themselves, not sending off to the island like all the other export fish that they have. As a fisherman and a conservationist, I believe in fishing, and I think the ecosystems of the world are all connected. So if one ecosystem as large as the one in Bahamas is being this greatly affected, it's going to affect us all, and we'll see consequences around the world. The storm completely crippled and wiped out most of the commercial fishing, if not all the recreational fishing, and then ruined their way of life. Let's take a deeper look into commercial fishing. It is a large and important part of the economy down in Bahamas. It makes up about 80 million annually in exports alone, just into the United States, not anywhere else in the world. So that's a lot of money just on fish. There's over 10,000 fishermen, and that's commercial fishermen, and that makes up over 5% of the population down there. And these aren't commercial fishermen like we think of here who go on big boats and are out in the middle of the ocean all day. These people go out, leave early in the morning, get on these little boats and go fish, come back, and then they sell their fish in the market. So it's a very small knit group. It's not like a global commerce when we think of commercial fishing in the United States. There's lots of overfishing because there is no regulation or anything on it. In the United States, there's lots of regulations and stuff like that, and they're tightly enforced. Down there, they're not enforced. So you can go out and get as many fish as you want. If you can sell them, that's your money. That's how you make a life down there. So because of that, there's a lot of pressure on the fish down there. Mostly grouper and snapper are the two most prevalent fish they're after. And those pressures are causing big harm to the fish populations, and they're dwindling down and down. And it's building up to when the storm actually hits, there's already a low population, so you can kind of add up where we're going. Seagrass is also an important part of commercial fishing down there. It is where all the fish lay their eggs and where the fish communities interact and everything. And it's in low, shallow water, and it's about half of the water is covered with grass, and that's where they spawn their eggs and stuff. Well, when the storm came through, it blew all that grass out of there. Got all the water, all the flooding caused all these fish to lose their homes, and that year's spawn is gone. So we completely wiped out a generation for a lot of these fish, which hurts a already dwindling number. So recreational fishing, which I talked about earlier, is sport fishing. That's, if any of us were going to go down there, that's what we would be doing, recreational fishing. You hire a guide, you go do the sport. You're not necessarily keeping a lot of fish, you catch them for trophy and then release them. So it's a conservation program where we're not losing fish. Some of them you keep, but those, because there's a great number, you can actually keep them. In a fishingbahamas.gov, their actual organization that keeps track of fishing, they estimated that over $500 million is entered into the economy each year just from fishing alone. That doesn't include the travel to get down there, all the lodging, food, entertainment people are going to do while they're down there fishing. So it's a huge industry that's going to take a huge hit if they're unable to do it now because of the hurricane. Recreational fishing, like I said, is what draws in the tourists. This is what brings the money to the island. And when the storm came through, it wiped out every boat, every dock, everything. And now they're unable to make money down there to support and rebuild. Another big issue with it is the free fishing areas. Here we have the conservation departments and other people who regulate fishing. Down there, there's no regulations. You just have to have the proper boat, which every boat down there has the proper seals, so you just have to end up down there and you can fish. And then each year they allow over 10,000 boats, foreign boats, to enter the water during competitions and stuff like that. So it adds heavy increase in fishing presence just from the public sector alone, recreationally. And now the people who live down there lose their boats, all the outside boats come in as well. Dinghies and motherships are their terms for boats down there. A dinghy is a much smaller 7-meter boat, what you would think of as a tiny boat up here, and their motherships are about 10 meters long, which would be a smaller size boat up here. So their boats aren't very big. So imagine a Category 5 storm coming. Most of the boats disappeared. They got blown away. They're off in the ocean. No one knows where they went. The impact on the locals was the greatest. We all know they lost their homes. They lost everything. But how are they going to be able to rebuild? We can give them money, but they have the money and they rebuild the house. Well, they don't have the infrastructure to be able to fish anymore to support that house that they have now, or any money to support their kids. So when looking at an issue like the Bahamas, it's not necessarily we have to rebuild the homes and communities themselves. We have to rebuild the fishing in order to get people on their feet so they have the money to then live their life, in which they rely on so much. It's not just the money behind it too. Is in a Bahamas.gov study in 2013, they found out that fish made up 12% of the protein diet for people on the island. So this is a huge part of their intake every day, and without it, there will be people dying because of malnourishment and stuff like that. To wrap it up, I talked about the effects of the hurricane on the fishing, looking at it from the fishing side, because it's not really looked at from the mass media of you understand the actual deep effects of the hurricane wiping out something as easy as fishing, from commercially, recreationally, and then the effects on the daily lives. So next time there's a big natural disaster, I encourage you to look at it from a different way and see what we can actually do to help these people and others. Thank you.